Did you know that over 40,000 concerts have been canceled or banned worldwide in the last 30 years? Many just because someone feared the lyrics? From court cases in Poland to airport arrests in Georgia, here are 20 heavy metal bands who were banned from countries. 1. Behemoth Poland, banned in Russia and Poland. A group stepped on stage with burning rage in their voices. They used fire, noise, and words to shake people out of comfort. But their shows didn't just get loud, they got banned. In one country, officials claimed it was only about visa rules. But that story didn't match the fear in people's eyes. The group often used shocking acts like ripping holy books in front of screaming crowds. That alone was enough to send chills through government halls. In their own country, people were divided. Some cheered them on, others wanted them gone. A court case started after one shocking show. Leaders called it hate, others called it art. But in the end, many shows were shut down. Was this just about paperwork? Or was it something deeper, darker, louder? It seemed like someone high up didn't want them talking at all. Even their home turned cold. That says everything. People in power were scared of their message. The louder they got, the harder others pushed back. Every band show told fans the same thing: don't question, don't challenge. But the group never stopped. They kept singing about pain, control, and freedom. Their stage became a war zone between rules and rebellion. They wanted to wake people up, and that woke up the wrong ones. As the lights went off and doors closed, questions stayed. Why are some ideas too loud to be heard? Is ripping a book really worse than silencing a voice? In both Russia and Poland, the group hit a nerve no one wanted touched. The ones who tried to stop them only made them louder. But behind every ban, there was fear. Fear of change. Fear of losing grip. Fear of being called out. This was never about music alone. This was a battle over who gets to speak. And when you're banned in your own land, that battle is far from over. 2. Lamb of God, USA, banned in Malaysia. When this band tried to play a show in a city where religion holds great power, things happened. But something about their words scared the people in charge. It wasn't just the sound, it was the message hiding inside the music. They said the band insulted religion. They said the lyrics crossed a line. The show in Kuala Lumpur was canceled fast. No chance to argue, no stage, no music. It was like someone had pulled the plug before a single note was played. But why such strong fear over a few words? Was it really about safety, or was it about control? Leaders didn't want crowds to listen and think. They wanted silence. And this group brought too many questions, too much noise. People who planned to attend were shocked. Tickets were bought. Fans were excited. Then nothing. No show, no answers. Just a quiet warning. Don't bring those ideas here. The music world felt it hard. One decision erased months of planning. This wasn't just about faith. It was about power. About who decides what can be said out loud. Some in charge believed the band was dangerous, not with weapons, but with lyrics. Lyrics that might make people look at old ideas in new ways. That's what scared them the most. The group never got to step on stage, but they still made noise. Their ban was a headline, not a whisper. It told the world even loud music can be too loud for some ears. What happens when a song is treated like a crime? What kind of fear makes leaders shut down music instead of listening? The real danger wasn't in the guitars or drums. It was in the questions hiding in every line. The band wasn't allowed to speak that night, but the silence said a lot. It showed how one performance can shake a nation's comfort. 3. Cannibal Corpse, USA, banned in Germany, Australia, and Russia. These guys made music that made people flinch, not just because it was loud, but because of what they said and showed. The covers were filled with blood, pain, and horror. The songs talked about things many didn't want to hear. It didn't take long before countries reacted. Germany stepped in, banning albums they said were bad for kids. Officials called the songs harmful. Shows had to be changed. Lyrics had to be cut. Even the pictures had to go. Then came Australia. In 1996, the whole country said no. Albums were pulled. Sales stopped. Fans couldn't find the music anywhere. After many years, some of the rules were lifted, but only with age limits and heavy warnings. It wasn't welcome. It was tolerated. In Russia, protests followed the ban. Shows were canceled. Protesters waved signs. Police stood nearby. The group didn't even get a chance to defend themselves. Was it really about protecting people, or was it about hiding what makes others uncomfortable? These bans said more about fear than safety. People feared the images, feared the ideas, feared what the music might bring. But banning something only makes it more known, more dangerous in some eyes, more attractive in others. This group faced walls in every direction, yet they kept moving forward. Can music really be that dangerous? Or is it just easier to blame the band than face deeper truths? These countries didn't just ban songs, they banned expression. And in doing so, they showed that some ideas scare even the strongest governments. But for every album pulled from shelves, more fans wanted to hear why. And maybe that was the real power of this group, not just the sound, but the reaction it forced from the world. 4. Rotting Christ, Greece, banned in Georgia. This band landed in a country expecting to play music. Instead, they were treated like enemies. The police didn't wait. They grabbed the members at the airport. No questions, no warning, just fear. Why? Because of a name. Just a name. The word Christ in their title brought panic. Leaders thought they were dangerous. They called them terrorists. No proof, no bombs, just instruments. But that didn't matter. They were locked up for 12 hours with no lawyer. The message was clear. Your music scares us. Your image scares us. Even before the first guitar strum, they were seen as a threat. This wasn't about safety, it was about fear. Fear that their art meant rebellion. Fear that their presence would stir crowds. After pressure from people and fans, the band was released. They got to play. But the damage had been done. The arrest told the world exactly how scared some people were of music. When a name can land you in jail, what else can be banned? Are we now punishing thought, not action? The band said they never meant harm. But that didn't stop cuffs from closing on their wrists. Their trip became a warning. Don't look different. Don't sound different. Don't challenge belief or risk arrest. Their name made people ask hard questions, and those questions were louder than any amp. Was this about peace, or was it about power? The truth sat somewhere between bars and fear. But one thing was clear. A single word can shake a country. And that's exactly what happened. They showed up with guitars, not guns. But they were treated like a threat. That says more about the world than the band itself. 5. Satanic Warmaster, Finland. Banned in France, Netherlands, and the UK. This group was judged before they spoke. Not by proof, not by crime, but by whispers. People said they were tied to hate groups. People said they stood for bad ideas. The group denied it all. But it didn't matter. In 2011, a music festival dropped them from the list. The country was France. And the event was under fire. People didn't want the band near the stage. To avoid backlash, the organizers gave in. Then came the Netherlands. A show was planned. But then threats came in. The concert was shut down. Fans had tickets. Bands had gear. But fear won. In the UK, it happened again. A planned show had to be moved. The location was kept secret. No signs, no ads, just shadows. The risk of protests was too high. The image of the band was now a problem, even if unproven. Was this fair, or was this just fear talking? A world that judges by rumors isn't safe for anyone. People said they stood for hate, but where was the proof? And even if it existed, who decides what music gets heard? The band was pushed underground, but underground only makes the sound stronger. The more they were silenced, the more people asked why. Is fear now stronger than facts? Do rumors now decide who gets a voice? This group lost stages, but gained headlines. The silence around them got louder. People wanted to know what was so dangerous. And that's where the real power began, not in shows, but in the storm around them. 6. Metallica, USA. Banned in China. In 2013, Metallica wanted to perform in China, but the show wasn't truly theirs. Before they could hit the stage, Chinese officials made them hand over a full list of the songs they planned to play. That's when the problem started. The government didn't just review the songs, they erased the ones they didn't like. One of the biggest cuts was Master of Puppets, a heavy metal classic. Why? Because it talks about control and power. China didn't want young people hearing those words. They feared it would spark thoughts they didn't want to spread. A metal song banned like a dangerous speech. That's how powerful words can be. The band was allowed to perform, but the energy was controlled. They couldn't even play some of their biggest hits. Fans came hoping for a full Metallica experience. Instead, they got a trimmed-down version. That wasn't a concert, it was a warning. A warning about what happens when music makes people think too much. In a country where media is closely watched, even one rock song can seem like a threat. What does it say when a guitar riff is treated like a weapon? It's not just about one band, it's about fear of ideas. Metallica's lyrics challenge control, speak about truth, and ask hard questions. That's exactly what the Chinese government wanted to avoid. They didn't want the crowd to hear words about freedom and control, even if it came with loud drums and electric guitars. People in the crowd might feel something powerful, and that kind of energy scares people in power. 7. Rammstein, Germany. Banned in Germany. In 2009, Germany banned an album from one of its most famous bands, Rammstein. Yes, their own country turned against them. The album Liebe ist für alle da was pulled from public view. Stores were told to hide it or stop selling it. Why? The songs were seen as unsafe for young people. Some lyrics were too rough, too violent. Even the album artwork raised concern. Germany said it went too far. This was a band known for pushing limits. Their live shows had fire, fake blood, wild outfits, and shocking scenes. It was never soft, never quiet. They didn't care about rules. But this time, it wasn't just fans or critics talking. It was the law. The government stepped in. They made a clear message. Some art is too much, even if it's popular. What happens when a country bans its own music? Is it shame? Is it fear? Rammstein wasn't a small band. They were global, famous, powerful, and still it didn't protect them. Fame doesn't stop the rules when those rules feel threatened. Germany's choice showed that no artist is too big to be silenced. The ban didn't stop Rammstein, but it marked them. It showed the world that their style was dangerous to some, that their message, no matter how loud or strange, hit nerves that others wanted to keep numb. It also told other bands, watch yourselves. One wrong lyric, one wild show, and your own country might shut the door. 8. Take Norway. Banned in the USA. The black metal band from Norway ran into serious trouble in the United States. The problem didn't start with the music, but with a shocking image. During a live show, the lead singer walked on stage with a swastika drawn on his chest. That symbol holds deep pain, especially in places like the US, where it reminds people of hate and horror. What followed was fast and brutal. Fans were angry. Promoters pulled out. Venues canceled shows. The entire US tour was crushed, just like that. The band said it was just for shock, that it was art. But most people didn't see it that way. The swastika isn't just a drawing. It carries the weight of real history, one filled with fear, war, and loss. When you use something like that, even for show, people will react. And the reaction was loud. Tareq tried to explain, but the damage was done. In a country where freedom is important, some things still cross the line. People asked, why would a band even try something like this? Was it for attention? For anger? Either way, they got banned. And once a tour is dropped, it's hard to come back from that. 9. Cradle of Filth, UK, banned in several countries. Their troubles came loud and fast. Known for dark themes, wild outfits, and scary artwork, this band liked to shock. But shock turned into bans when their t-shirts crossed a serious line. One shirt showed a nun doing something extremely offensive, with words too harsh for stores to even print. That single shirt caused a wave of problems. Shops refused to sell it. Countries like Australia and parts of the US reacted quickly. Airports stopped the band. Members were arrested. Fans wearing the shirt were thrown out of places. It became a symbol of hate to some, even if others said it was just edgy art. But when your shirt gets people locked up, something's gone too far. This wasn't a joke anymore. This was serious. The band didn't seem to care. They said they were just being themselves. But being yourself doesn't always keep you free. Some governments said, enough. They banned the merch, the shows, the image. Cradle of Filth got labeled as dangerous, not because of their music alone, but because of how they sold it. Freedom of expression has limits, even in countries that value it. This band found those limits fast. They were warned, they were fined, and still they kept going. Some saw them as brave, others saw them as reckless. Either way, they kept getting banned. 10. Marilyn Manson, USA, banned in multiple countries. With white makeup, dark lyrics, and wild shows, he became a symbol of fear for many. Some said he was art, others said he was trouble. And in many places, leaders decided they didn't want to take the risk. Russia blocked him. Some U.S. cities canceled shows. Other countries followed. They didn't just hate the look, they feared the message. Manson's songs talked about pain, power, religion, and control. He tore up Bibles on stage. He screamed about broken systems. And he did it in front of thousands of kids. That's what scared people. What would happen if those kids listened too closely? Parents got worried. Churches got loud. Officials said enough. They banned him to stop the noise. But bans only made him louder. His fans didn't go away. They grew. And the more he was blocked, the more people wanted to hear what was being silenced. Manson said he was just showing the truth, that the world was already dark. He just held up a mirror. But not everyone wants to look. Some want to shut the mirror down. And when that mirror is a man in black leather yelling on stage, it's easy to block. 11. Mayhem, Norway, banned in multiple countries. They were a loud warning. This group from Norway didn't care about rules, respect, or peace. They built their image on chaos and violence. And that chaos didn't stay on stage, it spilled into real life. One band member took his own life, and another was eliminated by someone in the same band. This wasn't fiction, it happened. The police had to get involved. People didn't know if Mayhem was a band or a danger to society. That kind of history doesn't get ignored. When Mayhem played, they didn't just perform, they shocked. Their shows included blood, animal heads, and talk of death. They used satanic symbols, burned crosses, and called themselves enemies of religion. They weren't hiding anything. And because of that, country after country said no. No to their music, no to their influence, no to the idea that chaos can be entertainment. From Germany to Asia, Mayhem found doors locked and tours canceled. Fans begged for them to play. Leaders said it was too dangerous. The fear was real. Mayhem said they were just being true to black metal. But black metal, when mixed with real death and arson, becomes more than sound. It becomes a risk. Some fans followed their actions too closely. Fires were started. Churches were burned. It wasn't just music anymore. It was a movement that scared people. And when a band makes headlines for crimes instead of music, it's no wonder that leaders say, "Not here." Chapter 12, Dimmu Borgir, Norway. Band in Indonesia. These guys made black metal with strings, choirs, and big drama. They sounded like a storm, but not everyone was listening to the music. In Indonesia, all they heard was disrespect. Religious leaders said the band was dangerous, that they made fun of faith and praised dark forces. People believed it. Loud protests started. Crowds showed up with signs. TV and newspapers got involved. It wasn't just a few people angry. It became a national problem. The government had no choice. They banned Dimmu Borgir. The band had concerts planned. Tickets were sold, but the shows never happened. Authorities said the music was too offensive. They said the band's look, black clothes, scary makeup, and symbols was too much. They called it blasphemy. That's a strong word, especially in a country where religion is part of daily life. When people say something insults their beliefs, things move fast. Dimmu Borgir was told to stay out. Just like that, they were erased from the stage. The band never said they were promoting evil, but their image said otherwise to many. On stage, they used flames, pentagrams, and strange chants. To fans, it was part of the show. To others, it was a threat. Indonesia didn't want their kids exposed to it. Leaders said this was about safety. They said it was about protecting the culture. 13. Slipknot, USA. Band in Malaysia. This band is loud, fast, and wild. They wear scary masks. They scream instead of sing. Their music sounds like anger turned into sound. Some fans love it. But in Malaysia, leaders didn't see music. They saw danger. The country banned Slipknot from performing. They said the band was not just music. They were a bad influence. People in charge worried about the youth. They said the music would turn kids rebellious. They were afraid the lyrics and masks would make kids disrespect rules. In a country with strong traditions, Slipknot looked like a threat. Their shows were called Too Crazy. Officials said, "No more." The ban was loud and clear. The band had no chance to respond. Their concerts were canceled before the first guitar note. Fans were upset, but the government didn't care. They said Slipknot was too dark. They said the band encouraged violence. Whether or not it was true didn't matter. Fear won. The country's leaders didn't want to risk it. To them, it wasn't about music. It was about control. Slipknot has been banned in other places too. Their music is always questioned. But in Malaysia, the ban was clear and public. It showed how powerful music can be, but also how fast it can be silenced. Slipknot still tours. But Malaysia won't forget. The masks, the noise, the rage. It was too much. 14. Kiss, USA. Band in Russia. Kiss brought lights, makeup, and rock to the stage. They wore boots like superheroes and breathed fire. But in Soviet Russia, that wasn't entertainment, that was trouble. Kiss was banned. The leaders didn't want bright colors, loud guitars, or free speech. They called Kiss a bad influence on kids. They said the band would spread bad ideas. The Soviet Union controlled everything. They feared Western music. They thought it would weaken their power. Kiss looked like freedom, and freedom was not allowed. Their concerts were blocked. Their music was hard to find. Fans had to hide their records. Just liking Kiss could get you in trouble. Kiss didn't mean to start a war. They just wanted to play. But their image scared leaders. They weren't just a band. They became a sign of rebellion. In a country with strict rules, that was enough to get banned. No trial, no warning, just banned. 15. Iron Maiden, UK. Band in Chile. They had skeletons, devils, and stories about war and death. It was music with fire and noise. But in 1990s Chile, that kind of show wasn't welcome. The country was still recovering from hard times. Leaders were nervous. They banned Iron Maiden from playing. Religious groups said the band was evil. They said the songs had hidden meanings. They claimed the music would harm children. The protests grew big. People marched with signs. They prayed for the ban. Leaders gave in. The shows were shut down. It wasn't about one song, it was about fear. The band tried to explain. They said the songs were stories, not lessons, but no one listened. The symbols on stage looked too real. People believed the worst. The ban became permanent. Iron Maiden was locked out. Chile didn't want to take the chance. 16. Slayer, USA. Banned in India. Their songs are loud, fast, and filled with dark thoughts about death, war, and religion. In many places, that kind of music draws a crowd. But in India, it drew something very different: a ban. The government looked at Slayer's lyrics and didn't see just music. They saw a threat. They believed these words could stir anger, upset beliefs, and even lead to fights in the streets. That's not the kind of risk most countries want to take. When Slayer planned a tour in India, it didn't take long for the officials to act. They shut it down before it started. The fear wasn't just about noise, it was about meaning. India is home to many religions, and faith is part of daily life. When Slayer sang about dark topics or mocked religion, the leaders saw danger. They weren't going to let a band from the other side of the world come in and shake things up. The message was clear: take your show somewhere else. Even though fans in India were excited to see Slayer, the concert never happened. Some tried to fight back, saying it was just music. But for those in power, it wasn't worth the risk. They didn't want protests or worse. They didn't want to give space to a band that didn't seem to care who it offended. Slayer has faced trouble in other places, but this band hit hard. It showed how words can lead to walls. When a band's image is soaked in blood and fire, not every country wants to be part of it. Maybe Slayer thought they were just being bold, but India thought they were being reckless. And in the end, that view won. Is a concert worth the cost when it could lead to unrest? Is music still music when it brings more fear than joy? When lyrics burn instead of heal, who decides if they should be heard? Slayer didn't back down, but neither did India, and that's where the music stopped. 17. Ozzy Osbourne, UK, banned in San Antonio, Texas, USA. He was banned for a moment that people couldn't forget. In San Antonio, Texas, this rock star did something that shocked the whole city. He urinated on the Alamo, a place that means everything to Texans. It wasn't just a statue, it was a piece of history, a place that honored those who died fighting for Texas. Ozzy might have been drunk or lost in his own world, but that act felt like a slap in the face. The city didn't forgive easily. For 10 years, Ozzy wasn't allowed to perform there. It didn't matter how many records he sold or how famous he was. The people in charge made it clear: disrespect our past, and you're not welcome. Some called it an overreaction. Others said it wasn't enough. But the ban stayed in place. Ozzy's wild image had always made headlines. Biting a bat, acting out on stage, it was all part of the show. But this time, the show crossed a line. People stopped laughing. They started asking if maybe this rock legend had gone too far. He became a warning, not just a performer, a reminder that even stars have limits. Years later, Ozzy apologized. He even donated money to make things right. The city accepted his words and lifted the ban. But the memory stayed. Some fans forgave him, others didn't. And while he did return to perform, the shadow of that act followed him. It never fully went away. 18. Morbid Angel, USA. Banned in Egypt. Their music was filled with dark words, scary images, and loud sounds. They talked about demons, evil, and other things that many people don't want to hear. In Egypt, this didn't go unnoticed. It went straight to the top, and the message from the government was loud and clear: this band is not allowed here. Egypt is a place where culture and religion are very important. People care about how others speak about their beliefs. When Morbid Angel tried to bring their show to Cairo, it didn't go well. Officials looked at their song titles, album covers, and videos and said it crossed the line. It wasn't just weird, it was wrong in their eyes. Dangerous even. The band's artwork showed monsters and dark symbols. Some of it looked like attacks on religion. Some of it showed things that many saw as evil. Egypt didn't want those images on their streets, on their posters, or near their kids. The concert was shut down before the band ever stepped on a plane. Fans were left waiting and then disappointed. Morbid Angel said they were misunderstood. They said it was art, not hate. But Egypt didn't want to hear that. The risk felt too big. What if people protested? What if it started fights? Leaders weren't going to take the chance. They picked peace over noise. 19. Deicide USA, banned in Germany. Now it's time for a death metal band from the United States. They are known for attacking religion in their songs, especially Christianity. Their lyrics are not just about questioning faith. They go much further. They say things that many people find shocking and cruel. The band often sings about hating God and wanting to destroy religion. For some fans, this is just a style of music. But for others, it feels like a personal attack. In Germany, officials had enough. They said Deicide's message was too dangerous. The German government banned the band from performing in their country. They said Deicide's music was hateful and could cause big problems. Officials believed the songs could lead to violence or hatred in public spaces. They worried about riots, protests, or people getting hurt. The ban was not about taste in music. It was about stopping something that felt harmful and mean. Some people called it censorship. Others called it common sense. Germany made a choice to protect peace and respect for religion. This was not a small decision. Banning a band sends a loud message. Germany was saying that there are limits. You can express yourself, but not if it hurts others deeply. They didn't want concerts turning into places of hate. They didn't want fans shouting angry words that insulted people's beliefs. It was a clear warning to other bands too. Think before you speak. Deicide didn't change. They kept making the same kind of music. They didn't apologize. They said they had the right to say what they want. But that right does not always go unchallenged. When words spark anger and divide people, countries may act. In this case, Germany did just that. The band was shown the door. At 20. Gorgoroth, Norway, banned in Poland. They don't just play loud music. They turn their concerts into dark, scary shows. At one concert in Poland, things went way too far. The stage had fake blood, goat heads, and crosses turned upside down. People tied up on stage looked like they were being hurt. It felt more like a horror movie than a concert. Some fans were excited, but many people were angry and scared. The show was meant to offend, and it worked. Polish authorities were not amused. They said Gorgoroth had broken several laws. First, they were accused of offending religious feelings. In Poland, religion is important to many people. Seeing their beliefs mocked on stage was too much. Second, the band used real animal heads. This led to charges of violating animal rights. The country has strict rules about treating animals with respect, even in art. The police stepped in. The band was not only criticized, they were banned. The ban was serious. Gorgoroth was told they could not perform in Poland again. They became a warning for others. Some fans called this unfair. They said it was just art, but others said no. Art doesn't mean you can hurt animals or mock people's faith. Even freedom has rules. The message was clear. If you insult a nation's core values, don't expect a warm welcome. The band didn't apologize. They said they would keep doing what they do, but they had to face the results. Other countries began to question letting them perform too. The world was watching. Was this music or just hate in disguise? Gorgoroth tried to shock, and they did, but they also paid the price.